Spirituality is consciousness, and a lot of people turn to organized religion for some kind of understanding of spirituality. You can call it God, the universe. These are just words, but really they're more than words. When you contemplate what they mean, it has some significance that you really don't have the words to describe. It means something. You feel something real, even just saying the words, as well as contemplating what they actually mean. And in this human experience, it seems that words just aren't enough to explain what we feel and what we even believe. And that is something that can be questioned as well. What is believing? Does that even mean anything? Is our intent with believing actually wanting to actually know something and not just believe something is true, but know that something is true? I think so. I think we do want to know that something is true. That even in this human experience, we don't have to wait for the so-called afterlife, which doesn't actually even really exist using that terminology as I see it, as I feel it, as I understand it. I've been studying these things a lot since I seemed to be in my 20s because I wasn't satisfied with organized religion. I've never been an atheist, but in my 20s I wasn't satisfied with the experience of an organized religion, but neither was I an atheist, rejecting everything that I was taught or raised around in my background. I wanted to embrace basically what felt like the truth, what knowing the truth would be, and not just feeling that I had a belief. But I also didn't want to proselytize like I had it all figured out and other people didn't, because we're all here together in this universe. But one thing is for sure, if we focus only on the Earth experience, we're on this one planet Earth, which is part of a solar system in the Milky Way galaxy. That's one galaxy of innumerable galaxies that cannot be counted in the universe. As the universe itself, it's unlimited, it's impossible to measure. That's what makes sense to me. And we're here in this experience to figure out and understand the true significance, the true spiritual being that we are. And I do think that is consciousness. So I often say in my contemplation, I often begin with I am, or we are, or just universal consciousness being. And this is perfection. This is intelligence. This is eternity itself. Timeless. It is infinity itself. Spaceless. There is no change. It's always perfection. It doesn't ebb and flow, come and go. It's not dualistic. I know that it appears to be dualistic. This experience, what we feel that we are, appears to be an experience of duality. And it seems like the evidence of duality is everywhere. That's why there's so much focus on it. But that doesn't mean that it is what it appears to be. I do think it's important to not deny anything, but to also be aware that something exists where the illusion about something appears to be. Contemplate that. I'll repeat it. Something that exists exactly where the illusion appears to be. And as I contemplate that, as you contemplate that, let some understanding come through. Maybe it's something that has to be repeated over and over again, but consider contemplating that for as much as you need to. It's an important idea to consider at the very least, because duality often becomes a distraction from us knowing something, feeling something that's real, that's existing, that goes beyond beliefs. You say, I know that's true. I just know that's true. I can't always have the words to express what I feel, but I know that's true. We have to be careful, though, because the illusion is not what it appears to be. If we think that's real, we're going to be very disappointed at some point. And I feel it's also important to understand that consciousness is substance. It isn't just something that you think or that is an awareness that you exist. It's an actual substance that manifests itself infinitely, eternally, perfectly, intelligently. It's unlimited. It does feel to me that it is light substance manifesting itself in numerous forms. But it appears to be a physical, limited substance, but it's not. It's light. It's like when you turn a lamp on in a room. You know it's real. That light is real, but you can't define it as a material substance in the way you think of human flesh, let's say, for instance. But you just know through your being that it is something real. And it also dispels darkness, which doesn't feel real, or opens the eyes to something that you didn't seem to see before. Consider that. I know this is a lot of information, but consider what I'm saying, and I'll revisit it. I'll repeat it many times if I have to. I think it's important that I go over this information. And the reason why I feel that is because in this human experience, it feels like there's a lot of attention on the illusion, on fear, on distractions, on being stuck and not opening one's heart, mind, and soul to what's the truth, rather being stuck on a belief rather than being open to more than just a belief, and beginning to understand, at least beginning to understand that you know something is true. And right now, there's a lot of concern about, once again, in this human experience, about the nuclear bomb and war and conflicts between so-called people not being resolved, greed in the midst of abundance. I think it's important to not deny any of this, but also to understand what is the truth. The truth of the matter is, why fight over abundance? There's abundance for all. It's not necessary to be fighting, to be killing, to have to use an atomic bomb or a nuclear bomb. Didn't we learn that lesson? Didn't we understand that before? And even more so, there's one law that exists. Many would disagree and say, oh, there's all kinds of human laws, and each country has different laws, and each state or each locality or district or prefecture or canton or province or whatever country, so many human-made laws. But I'm talking about the one universal law that is also principle itself. It's also love itself. It's also peace itself. It's all one. It's real. It's not an illusion. And so-called humans should not for 1 second think that they can control the one universal law to use for their own purposes. That's a mistake. Mistake technically has the same meaning of the word sin. It's not a good idea to go against the universal law, the one law that is the universe itself, the principle, how the universe exists, and the universe itself. One should consider that very strongly. It's very significant. It's very important. Another thing that is important to contemplate. And I feel I need to talk about this, all these things I'm talking about here. I think it's important because it's very easy to get lost in what some people would call spirituality or lack of, whether it's organized religion or whether you're talking about atheism. It's not that. It's consciousness. It's not a dualistic idea, even though we're bombarded with dualistic ideas all the time in the so-called human experience. But that's not reality. One should not deny the illusion. That would be a mistake. But to dwell on it and think it's actually something real, that could also be called a mistake. The universe is all, as all. And a lot of my exposure to these kinds of ideas came through various experiences and various teachers, you could say, throughout my life. I think the real serious work began in my 20s, so to speak, in this so-called earth experience. The main teacher that I will focus on in my talks, in my contemplations, will be Marie S. Watts. And for now, I'm going to read to you a quote from Marie S. Watts from the 3 Essential Steps booklet. She did most of her writing in lectures, public lectures, and which were mostly in Southern California, if not entirely Southern California, possibly in Arizona too. Most of her work was done, books and lectures, and booklets, etc., from the 1950s to the early 1970s. And this is a quote, basically an introduction to the booklet, 3 Essential Steps. Quote, "What is the universe? What is the identity? What is the body? According to the author, these 3 questions must be answered if we are to discover the perfect eternal self," as she calls it. She acknowledges that it is right to say with any particular teaching, so long as it feels right to us and solves our problems. But many of us are seeking to go further than this, seeking to satisfy a constant inner yearning to really know and experience God, the full, complete revelation of all that we are. We will not find God outside of our own consciousness. We may have thought we were searching, but in reality, it's always been God saying, I'm right here revealing myself, and you can't help knowing the fact that I am because you can't help knowing yourself. When you are full open with no reservations, we will receive the answer to our question because the answer already exists. Otherwise, it would never occur to us to ask the question. We merely open our consciousness for the revelation of the already existing answer. All that God is identified as each one of you. You are just waking up. You are at the standpoint of discovering what you really are. You are just beginning to really feel and experience the complete joy, freedom, and perfection that you eternally are. Again, consider this, and I will revisit all these things I'm speaking of because they all are one. It's all one. It's that easy. It's one. I like to say sometimes it's not complicated, but there are a lot of details because all is essential to the completeness of the universe, which includes you and I. Everything and everyone is essential to the completeness of the universe. Consider this.